Welcome back to Dr. Chow's YouTube channel. This is Dr. Chow from Howard County Board of Education. In this channel, I'm going to interview our high school graduates. I want them to share their experience, their challenge, and their achievement. I want them to give some advice to our incoming high school students. This YouTube channel, we are focused on student voice and student experience. I hope this interview will help you, both the parents and students, to navigate the Howard County Public School system. Today, we're going to interview Ms. Adya Joshi, who graduated from Howard High School in 2020. She will join University of Maryland, majoring in computer science. Welcome, Adya. Can you have a self-introduction?
Thank you, Dr. Chao. So my name is Adya, and I graduated from Howard High School just this past June. I'm going to be going to the University of Maryland this fall, majoring in computer science. And throughout my time in high school, I actively participated in the speech and debate team. And I participated in tournaments, and I even made it to nationals. I was also part of honor societies like Math Honor Society and French Honor Society. And I made sure to also stay on top of my academics.
Thank you, Adya. Thanks for your time to speaking with me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, so, thank you for reaching out.
My first question for you is, what's the most difficult challenge in your senior year? How do you overcome that?
So I think this is a challenge that a lot of students have, but for me, it was a balancing writing college applications with my schoolwork, because college applications are really different from a lot of writing that you do in school, and they demand a different sort of skill set. You have to kind of, learn by yourself in order to write those, because they require more of your creative voice rather than the analytical voice that English classes require. And so for me, I decided to manage my time by starting out as early as I could, which was August 1st. And then also setting deadlines for myself, because I was applying to more schools than the counselors tend to recommend. And so I decided that, every couple of weeks I would get applications done for school X, Y, and Z in order to make sure that I was staying on track, and I wanted to hold myself accountable. I think in the end, that system of sort of setting up deadlines for me that were different from the deadlines the schools gave worked out well for me.
I see. Thanks for sharing that. So one question, how many applications did your counselor recommend?
My counselor recommended between 7 to 8, but I sent in about 25.
I see. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And another question for you. In your whole 4 years in high school, what was the most difficult challenge you faced, and how do you overcome that?
So I think in all 4 years, my biggest challenge was developing study habits that were effective for me. So in elementary and middle school, I never really developed study habits because those were easier for me. And getting to high school, I realized I'm going to have to put in more work, and I'm going to have to actually study. And so it took me about a semester or so to find study habits that worked for me and that were efficient and effective. But, I would talk to my teachers. I would get their feedback on what they thought on the basis of me as a student. And I'm super grateful to have parents who are professors. And so I got study tips and tricks from them. And within about a semester, I had a study plan that effectively worked for me. And so I was even able to bring up my grades. So this was around my sophomore year, and have a successful sort of overall academic career.
Thank you. So can you share one course or one seminar or maybe one homework you feel is so unique in terms of academic?
In terms of academics, I think the most unique experience I had through Howard was being able to take part in the intern mentor program. So through that program, I was able to work with an HIV researching lab over at UMBC. And so I was doing, biology-based tasks and computational biology-based tasks that usually students would be doing at a undergraduate or graduate level. So I was like the only high schooler that came in regularly throughout the year, and I did a variety of tasks, and I would talk with my mentor. I learned a lot of technical terms, and I had to learn how to read through technical papers for that particular subject. And so I thought it was a really interesting experience. And I was able to have my own sort of secondary research going, where I looked at more of like the social implications of HIV, which let me reach out to quite a lot of interesting people and hear their stories about living with HIV. And I think this class gave me sort of that an area for me to exercise my passion for research.
I see. Thank you. So it's kind of build some foundation for your future career, maybe influence your college application as well. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
I see. Thanks for sharing that. So another question for you. It's really extracurricular activity, right? I noticed that you joined the AST Achieve Success Together tutoring program with Tess, and Tess, she actually joined the interview earlier with me. Can you share some of extracurricular activity?
Yeah, so I did AST. I started that up recently, and I've been able to work with students from a variety of family backgrounds in a variety of subjects. They're mostly elementary and middle schoolers. And then beyond AST, I've been really active in the speech and debate team at my school. When I started, our debate part of the team was just me and my debate partner, and so we worked really hard to build up the team and to make sure that we were able to sort of leave a mark in our league. I was also part of the French Honor Society and Math Honor Societies because I find that those subjects carry special meaning for me, and so I wanted to help spread sort of a awareness of math and French in the school community. And then outside of school-based extracurriculars, I think my most important extracurricular was being able to intern with the Delhi Police, which is where I got my first ever research paper from. So I worked with looking at encrypted messaging apps and the privacy that they provide, how that's used in a negative manner by criminals who want to do things like we were focusing on arms smuggling, so that everybody, and it's a good idea in theory that, yeah, the government shouldn't be able to read your messages, but criminals take advantage of that. And that's where, an issue comes in. And so I got to work firsthand and gain that experience.
I see. That's interesting because when I searched your name on Google, your paper showed up. I thought, wow,
Yeah.
my gosh. And did you present the work to the conference?
Yeah, I went up to Philadelphia in October of my junior year, and I got to present my work in the conference in front of mostly graduate students and a couple of professors. It was kind of weird because I was the only person walking around with the name tag that said high school. Everybody else was affiliated with the university.
Congratulations. That's definitely one of very unique experience, right?
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the work. And so another question for you, like people talk about cyberbullying a lot recently. So did you ever experience cyberbullying, or did any of your friends experience that? How did they overcome that?
So I'm pretty thankful to never have experienced it, partially because my parents were not super pleased by the idea of someone my age having social media, so I never got exposed to that environment. And my friends, they tend to be pretty private about their social media. They follow like the internet rules we've been told since we were in elementary school. And so I'm grateful that nobody I know has experienced cyberbullying, but in doing my research, like I was talking to you about HIV and the social implications of it, I came across a lot of children and teenagers who had experienced it, and they had some really interesting sort of things to say about how to overcome it. And I think the biggest thing was that, in a lot of places, this can be considered illegal, and so to just take screenshots and to document everything and then present it to a trusted adult who can help you out in that sort of legal manner, which usually tends to scare the other people who are bullying you on the internet, just because they tend to be kids themselves, and the idea of legal trouble is not one that any kid appreciates. And so I think it's important to realize that you do have that power in combating cyberbullying.
I see. Thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate it. And for our audience, the viewers, just want to make sure HCPSS have a robust protocol and a framework to deal with cyberbullying. So if you experience that, or your friend experience that, please report it to our school system. Make sure you're able to get in the help you needed. I really appreciate you talk about that. So because of legal consequences as well. I'm glad I interviewed so many students and none of them experienced like serious cyberbullying. So that's good side of that, I would say. Next question for you is, do you have any advice to share with the incoming high school students?
So coming into high school, I was the line leader this past year, so I got to interact with the incoming 8th graders. And a lot of students tend to have this sort of glamorized version of high school that they've been sold to by the media. And so when you meet students who, halfway through their sophomore year and their junior year, they're like, this is nothing like what I expected. And so I think it's important to realize that high school is not the end all be all of everything. It's merely, a stepping stone into the rest of your life. And so you should take it seriously. You shouldn't like blow it off, and you should focus on your academics. But then you should also realize that just because everything doesn't go how you planned it to go, doesn't mean that the rest of your life is, completely off track. And I think it's important to realize that in high school, what tends to be the most important is your education and the skills that you pick up. And so I think you should keep those at the forefront. And I think you should also realize that, everybody is kind of going through this together, and it's not just like your own kind of struggle. Like oftentimes, you hear students blaming teachers about things. I think it's important to realize that, they're also having their own sort of issues in teaching hundreds of students, especially at crowded high schools in this county. And so to sort of approach every day with that thing that nobody's, life is going perfect or how they planned it out, and to realize that you can continue to experience things outside of high school, that, you don't have to experience everything in high school. You also have college, and you have like the rest of your life.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. This kind of life is not perfect. High school is overhyped in movies, right?
Yeah, definitely overhyped.
Okay, so just to make sure our incoming high school students aware of that, don't expect high school will be fair. It will be new, it will be different. There's a lot of new stuff, but it's not everything not fun, right? There's sometimes you may have low, sometimes you may high. So you just sometimes you overcome some difficulty times. You are entering college, right? And you're going to University of Maryland and studying computer science. Why you choose Maryland? Why you choose computer science?
So for me, I was really thankful to have a lot of offers from schools, including my dream schools like NYU and University of Toronto. But in the end, I decided to go with computer science at Maryland for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons being that Maryland has a really big department, and they have a lot of resources to back them up. Which I thought was interesting, especially because UMD is such a, it's a research-driven school. And so that's what a lot of their resources go into. And for me personally, I was really into research, and I wanted to pursue that in the future. And so I decided that, in a school that is so research-driven, I would love to attend there and take full advantage of their resources, unlike NYU, where I really wanted to go, but it sort of gives off that vibe of a more arts-focused school than it does a computer science-focused school. And then I also chose Maryland because it was large enough for me to kind of carve out my own niche in the school, where I wouldn't have to be sort of swept up in one singular mindset or one singular sort of, thought process. I could do what I wanted to do. And then also its proximity to Washington, D.C., because I think that Washington, D.C. really is such an interesting city with a vast variety of job opportunities and internship opportunities that align better with my research interests than at the other schools I was offered admission to. So I decided to come to Maryland.
Great, I'm a Terps too. So congratulations, University of Maryland.
Thank you.
Regret your choice right now.
Mm-hmm.
And University of Maryland's computer science program is a great program. I believe you will learn a lot and grow from that. I really wish you good luck in your life in University of Maryland and for your future career as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Kind of one last question, right? Do you have any advice for HCPSS where they can improve, where they can change?
So I think HCPSS has been a great school system for me. It's really helped give me a strong foundation, especially like I mentioned, I'm super into research. And I think part of that is because I was given the opportunity to participate in research-based activities since elementary school. But I do think that, one of the issues you tend to see talking to students from across the county is this sort of inequity in academic opportunities given to students. For me personally, like our debate team, it never got to go to what we call outside tournaments, like that are affiliated with universities like Harvard or Yale and Princeton. And part of that was because we were sort of constrained by the rules of HCPSS. And then also, there's certain competitions like the American math competition. Those are not offered at Howard High School, and a couple of our neighboring schools do have it. And so I think HCPSS needs to sort of provide equal academic opportunities to all of its students, and in a variety of ways, whether that include more funding or whether that includes, new programs targeted at students, or whether that includes centralizing things like, Olympiads and math competitions, and to make sure that HCPSS administers those for every school rather than leaving it to every school to administer on their own basis. But I think, besides that, the system has done a lot and it's improved a lot, in the time I've been in it.
I see. Thanks for sharing that. So we have there's constraint for your debate team from HCPSS. What's the constraint there?
So there were constraints on the basis of sort of one, chaperones, since chaperones had to be from your specific school rather than the chaperone being from any HCPS employee. Oftentimes we wouldn't be able to go because we couldn't find a teacher willing to. And also because of the process of approving field trips, a lot of these outside tournaments weren't necessarily approved field trips. And so we would then have to take off days on our own time, but those add up pretty quickly. And then we would be in that danger of like, you've missed too many days, rather than it being something that the county was approving and the county was giving us the opportunity to do so. And then there was also sort of a issue with, I think one of the schools in this county doesn't operate with HCPSS, like it doesn't take the HCPSS funding that HCPSS does give for the debate team, and instead operates on its own with its students. And so I think that the constraints aren't, they're not something super serious, but they are present enough that they oftentimes stop students from achieving their full potential.
I see. Sorry to hear that. I remember earlier you talked about the debate team. You started the debate team in Howard High, right?
So somebody else started it before me, but by the time I got there, everybody had kind of left the debate side, and we only had students who were doing speech.
I see.
And so the current debate team.
How many team members right now when you left?
Right now, when I left, we had about 24, 25 active members of the team. But when I came to Howard, it was just me and my partner.
Oh, that's a great achievement. Really get a team grow kind of exponentially.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. I think what you talk about is really something the school system needs to try to think about a way to address that. I really agree with you. So how do we really allocate resources to provide opportunity for our students? When there's a need, we need to try to fill that need for our students.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. And do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for any incoming students, it's just important to realize that your high school experience is what you make of it, and it's your decisions ultimately that lead up to where you end up after high school. And so to kind of remember that there's a sense of personal responsibility in those 4 years, and you have to hold yourself accountable, because oftentimes other people won't be holding you accountable. I think that's important to remember.
Thank you for sharing that. That's the first time I heard our high school students need to help themselves accountable. And definitely, I believe everybody should help ourselves accountable. That's how we grow ourselves, make ourselves more mature, and benefit from our own growth as well. So Adya, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate you took time speaking with me and shared your experience and advice with our incoming high school students. For our audience, thanks for tuning back again. I really hope this interview will help you yourself or maybe your parent to understand the high school life, and this kind of student voice and student experience will help you to navigate through the school system and for the next 4 years. Thank you very much, Adya.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.